Hey YouTube, it's Landon with Order the Traveling Hats, and today I thought it'd be a great idea to make a video about how to take care of your winch and how to make sure all of your recovery gear is in good condition and safe to use before you go out on the trail. I think this is something that's often overlooked. I know that it's very easy for me to just kind of throw all of my recovery gear in a bag and kind of keep it in there until I need it, and then usually it doesn't get cleaned or taken care of very well when we're done. So I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of show how I take care of that stuff and kind of the schedule that I try to use to keep it clean and safe to use and keep the winch in good working order. So let's get started. So the first thing to do is just kind of be familiar with your winch. So this is a Smittybilt XRC Gen 3 competition winch. It's rated at 9,500 pounds. It does have a synthetic rope, which you can see there. I think the synthetic ropes offer a lot of advantages over wire ropes personally. The first thing they offer is a pretty good weight savings, but also they're more of a static line and tend to hold less energy. So if it does snap, the idea is it'll just kind of fall to the ground. They're pretty strong. They're very flexible. You don't have to worry about kinks, but you do have to worry about dirt and grit getting in there and cutting up the fibers. They're also less abrasive or abrasion resistant, but overall a pretty good trade-off. This winch has got a nice positive terminal so that you can actually kind of tie in an air compressor or whatever you want to that and then just ground it to the frame. It's kind of nice to have that without having to pop your hood and get to the battery. It also, here is your connector for the winch cable and controller. So those have got nice rubber seals on them that pretty well made. Over here you've got your free spool and engage lever. You can turn that. We're going to turn it in a minute and unspool the winch rope. And then I run a Factory 5 link on the flare lead. Notice this flare lead is not a roller flare lead. It's just an aluminum Haas type, which is compatible with the winch rope. And you want to make sure that you've got the right flare lead. Wire or cable would destroy this pretty quickly because it's soft aluminum. So I think what we're going to do now is just go ahead and flip this over to free spool. Now it says free spool, and then we can start pulling our rope out. Oh, it's kind of hard the first couple pulls. So the first thing you see come out is it's got this abrasion protection kind of sheath on it. And that's really slidable along the rope, so if you were winching over a rock or whatever, you could kind of use this to help prevent the rope from being damaged. I don't know how much protection it would actually offer. It's a piece of nylon, and the rope will kind of snake through it and slide, but you know, it is there, it's helpful. So it's pretty long on this one, so it's still in there. You can see it coming out, and now we're kind of getting to where we've got more rope. So what we're going to do now is just keep pulling this out until we get all the rope off, so we can clean it, because this rope hasn't been used that much. I did clean it the last time I used it, but I thought it'd be a good idea just to go through and show you guys how to do that so you can care for your rope at home. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of this rope pulled out and then get my buckets out so we can kind of show you how to clean this and maintain it. I'll be right back. Alright guys, so I got the winch rope unspooled. It's laying out here just kind of on the ground right now. What I'm going to do is I've got one bucket here that is just soapy water. It's got a very light detergent in it that I'd use to wash the Jeep. And then I've got a rinse bucket. So this is not unlike the video that I'm going to post a link to right here that kind of went through how I wash the Jeep using the 3-bucket method. This is just 2 buckets, but that video, you know, the 3rd bucket's really more for the wheels. So all we're going to do is take the winch rope and we're going to dunk it into the soapy water, all of it, and just kind of get it in there. And now we're going to overflow a little bit, but that's okay. We want to just get it all in there, kind of work it around a little bit, and get all this in there just nice and neat. We're going to go ahead and put the link in. It's aluminum, it's not going to hurt it. And we're just going to kind of work this in and out and Then what we're going to do, once we kind of got this worked in and soaked good, and just agitate it a little bit so it's good and wet and got a lot of soap in it, we're going to get a little rag from over here. I'll be right back. So again, as I was saying, we just get a nice kind of terry cloth towel, and all we're going to do is kind of get the link out, and we're going to just start to kind of wipe this down with a kind of soapy towel. And as we do that, we're going to transfer it over to the rinse bucket. We're just going to kind of run the rope through. We're just kind of working it through like so. So all I'm doing here is getting it in the rinse water just to kind of rinse it off, working that through, and I'm going to transfer that out and start working the next section through. And we're just going to keep kind of wiping this down. These things don't usually get that dirty. If you see a really dirty trouble spot, you can kind of, you know, push the fibers together like so a little bit and get some space between them, and then agitate that portion and really get all the grit and dirt out. What you don't want to have happen is get any grit, sand, dirt, or whatever in between these fibers, because as you pull tension on it and it moves, those are just like little tiny microscopic razor blades. They're just going to abrade the fibers of this rope and weaken it. So that's really what we're trying to do, is just clean all of that out and get the rope clean, and then we're going to let it dry. And while it dries, we're going to go through some other stuff, but you know, ultimately we're going to have to spool it back on the winch so that we can store it properly. So all I'm doing again is just agitating that in the rinse water, kind of laying it out so it can dry. And our winch rope's kind of getting tangled up here, but that's okay, we'll get it untangled. You just got to work this through, you know, you just got to be patient and work it through, and you'll get there. It takes a little time, it's not a big deal. We're almost done here. And just keep working it through, that's it. No special trick to this. Like I said, the only thing is, you know, like here's a little bit of a dirty spot here, so I'm just gonna kind of spread that apart. I don't think you can see that on the camera very well, but there was a little bit of dirt left there from something. So I'm just kind of working the fibers apart where it's braided, and just working my rag and then putting it in the rinse water so we can rinse it out good. And we just keep working until we get all the winch rope done, and it's really pretty easy. Just takes a little time, a little patience, that's all. You're also, as you're doing this, just inspecting the rope as you go, making sure there's no obviously frayed or damaged parts. If there are, you need to replace the rope. Don't try and use a rope that's frayed. It's just dangerous. That's just asking for an accident when you need it most, and it's going to fail you and you're going to be really upset. And you know, that's base case scenario. The worst case scenario is somebody gets hurt just because you had a failure, and it was because you had a frayed rope. That's why this is really important, just to inspect and make sure that you don't have anything like that before you get out there and need it. And you know, the winch is the thing that you want to have and hope you never need. So we're almost done with this. So just rinsing this in the rinse water. And we've got this up here now to this other nylon protector on this winch. This is about where you get to the end of the rope, and it needs to be spooled up at least 5 wraps. This is enough for about 10 wraps. So you can get about half of this out before, you know, you really have no rope left that you can safely winch with. So this is all okay up here. It's not dirty. It hasn't really been off the winch. So I'm going to call that good on this. We're just going to lay this out on the ground for now lightly and let it dry. And then we'll go through some of the other equipment and see if we need to clean it up. Alright guys, so this is the next piece of equipment I kind of want to go over. This is a tree trunk protector. This is just kind of a short, it looks like a recovery strap, except it's quite a bit wider. This one's from ARB. I like their stuff, run their bumper. They make really good recovery gear. These are wider, they've got a really high working load. They're enough that you can wrap them around a tree, usually a couple times, and give you a good anchor point. You don't want to wrap your cable around the tree. It'll damage the cable, damage the tree, hurt the tree, cut into the tree and kill it. So you want to spread that load over a wide area. Usually I like to wrap this around about twice. Now this one's got just a little bit of surface wear on it, but it's clean. It's not dirty at all. I don't need to clean it. The things you want to inspect, this has got another abrasion protector on it here that you can slide over, so you can kind of slide that around, you know, your point of maximum kind of pull around the tree to kind of help protect your strap. And it's just made out of kind of a neoprene material. There's one on both ends. They can actually kind of help to protect the ends, but the thing you really want to look at is the stitching on the end. You want to make sure that there's no fraying here, that these ends here are good, and all the stitching's intact, and nothing's frayed. And then you want to inspect the rest of it and make sure nothing's frayed on the rest of it, just to make sure that, again, this thing isn't going to fail you when you need it. This is your anchor point. This is really important. It's got a lot of load, just like the cable does. This is going to have 100% of the load spread across it when you're pulling a winch. So with this winch, at max line pull of 9,500 pounds, this has got about 10,000 pounds of force distributed across it. So it's got a high working load. Much greater than that. I think the working load's something like 20,000 pounds on this one, but I'm not going to exceed it with my winch. And it's got a brake load of even higher than that. In fact, this tag right here tells you that the minimum braking strength is 12,000 kilograms. So that's a bunch. That's what, 25,000 pounds or so. So not going to have to worry about that coming apart. Again, just inspecting this side, making sure that everything is in good working order and nothing's frayed and nothing's damaged. And this one looks like it's in really good shape because I do try to take care of it. These aren't cheap. Next thing are just a pair of gloves. I keep a good pair of kind of mechanics gloves that are leather. You want some good heavy leather gloves. You want to just make sure you don't wear holes in them. When you're handling this rope and you're handling this stuff, it's really easy to hurt your hand. It's a good idea to have a glove on as you're manipulating it, especially with a wire rope. These would work for a wire rope, although probably it'd be better to have a little bit heavier glove just to make sure the steel cable, if there's any splinters or fraying on it, it doesn't go through the glove and get into your hand, because that would be a pretty bad injury to have. But I keep these. These have been on this Jeep for a while, and actually came from the old Jeep, and they work pretty good. So the next piece of equipment that you want to have in your recovery kit is a recovery strap. Now this is different than a tow strap in that you'll notice there are no hooks on it. You don't want metal hooks on your recovery strap. This thing breaks and a metal hook goes flying. That's just a projectile waiting to hurt somebody. So these have a pretty good working load. They make them in different lengths and different widths as well that have a higher working load. This one has more than enough for what we need. I don't know that I've ever actually used it. You can use it to extend your winch cable if you need to. You can use it to snatch onto somebody. It's actually kind of a dynamic strap that will stretch a little bit. These are really handy, really good to have in your kit. This one's got kind of this nice little elastic band that will keep it kind of spooled up for you. And I just keep it in there if I ever need it. It's going to be fine. I've never used this, so I don't really worry about it not being serviceable until I've used it at least once. Never have had to yet, so this one's still in good shape. This is a snatch block. There's not much to say about this. This one's actually for a stale cable, and I need to get it out of this. It has been used a couple times, not much, thankfully. These are handy to have if you've got to pull on an angle or need to increase the working load of your winch. It acts with mechanical advantage. It will cut the distance you can pull by half and cut the line speed by about half, but it nearly doubles your working load. So you can really pull on somebody pretty good. Or if you need to pull at an angle, like off of a tree to the side or something and pull around a corner, you can use one of these to set up that pull and do it safely. So good to have. They make a winch donut that uses a soft shackle, and that's probably what I'm going to be going to soon. But I'm just carrying this around until I do that. So last thing in the kit are these clevises. These are the 3/4 inch clevises. They've got about 4 3/4 ton, I think, before they fail, so that's quite a bit of weight. And they're just a good anchor point to kind of tie everything together. You want to make sure that they're kind of hand tight. You don't want to over tighten them, because then once they get a load on them, you can't get them apart. And again, you want to just make sure that they're not horribly rusted, bent, or anything like that. Not much to inspect with these. Trying to get away from these as much as I can to go to soft shackles. I just haven't bought enough soft shackles yet, so I've still got some of these in the kit. In fact, haven't really bought any soft shackles yet because I can't decide which ones to buy. So if you guys have any suggestions on good soft shackles, please let me know in the comments, because I really am interested in upgrading and moving away from these as much as possible. Still probably need to have a few in the kit, but really probably don't need a whole lot. So that about does it for my recovery kit. I don't have a whole lot in it. I like to travel light with just the stuff I need to be able to do a recovery. The biggest thing you need is a good winch. If you've got that, then you know how to use it and it's in good working order, you're probably going to be okay. But these other things are accessories that you need in order to make the winch work. So we're going to go ahead and let the cable dry out the rest of the way, and then I'm going to go show you guys how to spool this thing up. Alright guys, the winch rope dried. It's pretty dry. I've got it kind of wrapped around the front of the bumper right now just so we could get down here to the field. There's a tree kind of in front of us. I'm going to show you guys that. We're going to get the tree trunk protector kind of set up, show you how to do that, and then we're going to get a pull set up. Really kind of important to spool your cable under a load. I think Smittybilt recommends at least 500 pounds of load. What you want to do is make sure that the lower wraps of the rope are tightly wrapped such that the upper wraps can't slip between them and cause friction, which will cause injury basically, or damage to the rope. Again, spooling is really important with both the synthetic ropes, but also very important with the wire ropes because it'll kink the wire, fraying it and weakening it. So this is a really critical part that I think is often overlooked. Now obviously, you know, when you're in the field and you're doing a pull for real, you don't want to be anywhere near the rope because there's a lot of load on it, so you're just going to have to kind of do the best you can. And then when you get home, you need to unspool it and do what we're about to do here just to make sure that it's in good shape, inspect it, and make sure everything's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get set up, and I'll show you guys that when we're ready, and then we'll get this done. Alright guys, so the first thing we've got is the tree trunk protector. Now I wrap it flatly around the tree so there's no twisting in it. And it comes down to a clevis mount and our shackle for the winch. That's a factory 55 shackle, super strong, really well made. I like those a lot. And then we got the winch rope, and that's going to just anchor us to the tree. We'll kind of get that situated good. And then we got the winch rope. We got the kind of nylon protector here. I like to keep that kind of towards the clevis on the end of the rope where the hook would be, or towards the anchor. Then as we follow the winch rope down, we're kind of following down about halfway. I've got one of these ARB winch blankets on it. That is really important. I can't stress the importance of a winch blanket enough. Those are really keep you safe. It's weighted, it's got some weight to it, and it kind of velcros around the winch rope. Now you can use a blanket, something kind of heavy that you've got in your gear already, but I really like these because they secure onto the rope. The idea being that if the rope were to break, that weight will get it on the ground and keep the rope from going flying as it releases its tension. Makes it a little bit safer. Really, you need one of these every time you do a pull, no matter how long or short. And honestly, I'm doing such a long pull here, it would really be ideal to have more than one on the rope, but I only own one, so that's what I've got. As we keep going, we just get back to the Jeep, and right now I've got the winch cable, or the winch controller, hooked in right there. And the cool thing Smittybilt did with their winch controller is it's got these two little red magnets on it, so you can kind of stick it to a steel piece, steel front bumper in this case, and it'll kind of keep it from flopping around. Now, I think they do have a wireless option as well, and Warren certainly does, but this is pretty slick. It's got some light indicators on it for in and out, and those are blue now. As you load the winch up, they'll turn yellow. It's also got a flashlight on it right here that you can kind of see. So you got a flashlight that runs off the 12 volt. So pretty nice. I like that. It's all waterproof. We're gonna now go and get the Jeep started and get this pull started. So we'll show you how we're gonna do that.
All right, so what you can kind of see is now we've got a little bit of tension on the rope, but not too much. The Jeep's on pretty level ground, and you can kind of start to see in there that we're getting the rope spooled, and it's pretty even. We aren't getting any kinks or anything in the rope, and it's spooling really well. So we're just going to continue on and keep working our way up towards the tree up there, and we'll get this thing in a minute, and then we'll be done. Alright guys, so that does it for spooling the winch cable and inspecting your recovery gear. It's pretty easy. It takes a little bit of time. You need to do it about every couple of months, probably with your winch especially, just to circulate the grease inside of the gearbox and make sure everything's in working order, that you don't have a bad electrical connection or something like that. You certainly need to do it before you go on a big trip, and you probably ought to inspect all your gear before and after just to make sure that it's not damaged when you go and that you didn't mess anything up when you were out there and need to replace something. Now, before we go any further, I do want to note that I was kind of manipulating the winch rope as we were spooling this thing up. This Jeep is basically on level ground, and when I would lean on it, it would move the whole Jeep, so it was not under a whole lot of load. I was not worried about the rope breaking. We had just inspected it, and the sole purpose behind doing that was to be able to control kind of how it's spooled on the drum. Under an actual recovery situation, I'd be standing almost behind the Jeep, just peeking out, just in case something broke. You want to use your vehicle almost as a shield in that instance. So please, I want to try to head the comments off now that I did that wrong. I did that for a reason, just in this particular instance when I'm trying to spool the rope up. So I hope that was helpful. I hope you guys got something out of this video. If you did, please like and subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, and leave some comments. It does help us. We're trying to grow. We're a really small channel, and I want to keep making content for you guys, especially folks out there maybe that are beginners. First Jeep, first winch, first time going out. And I remember when that was me, and it was really super intimidating because I had to kind of learn this as I went. I didn't have YouTube when I started. So I hope this will encourage you, kind of make you a little bit more confident so you can get out there and hit the trail and kind of explore a little bit on your own and enjoy yourself. So I'm Landon, this is Order the Traveling Hats, and we hope to see you out there.